illustrious studio engineer. We're live. And if we're live, that means you're listening to Student of the Gun Radio. Congratulations to you on your excellent decision-making skills. Yes, indeed. You can go about your day realizing you can be happy with yourself. You'll be smiling. People say, what are you smiling about? You say, well, I made a really good decision today. And they say, well, what decision was that? And you say, I listened to Student of the Gun Radio. And what? Tell me more about this Student of the Gun Radio, they shall say to you. And then you should tell them more. You shall say to them, thou art a beginner once, but thou art a student for life. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Victim shaming by our side? No, we don't do that. We don't victim shame. It's the other side that victim shames. Is that true? We'll dive into it. We're going to dive into it. Also, we've got a Duracoat finished firearm of the week, a Century Arms Halloween AK, and I'm going to use this opportunity to remind you that we do have a holiday coming up in October, and this is going to be your warning order. You're going to have time. So come October, I don't want to hear anybody, I didn't have time to prepare. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So we're going to talk about all that and, of course, anything else that we feel like talking about because we're Americans here on today's episode of Student of the Gun Radio.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
This is when Zach freaks out and he's like, I didn't think the applause went on for that long.
Or sounded different.
Why is the applause still going on?
That's funny.
All right. Fun with soundboards. That's what we're going to call today's episode. We're going to call it Fun with Soundboards. No, but seriously. But seriously, folks, if you are listening live, watching live, viewing live via Discord or Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and drop a question in if you have one. If you don't, that's cool too. Just sit there and listen louder. I can deal with it. Oh, boys, before we get into the Duracoat finished firearm of the week, do you have anything else you need to add or discuss or mention?
Welcome, new listeners to Student of the Gun Radio. We appreciate you being here.
Do we want to mention that class? Is the class public, or is that only in the grad program?
Which class?
The PFT training camp out?
The PFT training
No,
camp
the one
out.
in August, beginning of August.
Oh, yeah, the precision rifle class,
Yes.
August 6th through the 8th. We have 2 seats left if you are not signed up and you want to be signed up. If you go to shop.sotg.com, and Zach, if you can do us a favor and put that on the homepage to make it easy for people to find, that'd be fantastic.
Yes, this is a high elevation precision rifle class. So there you go. And for those of you that are signed up, I hope that you are walking. I hope that you're getting some physical exercise in your body there. That would be a good thing. Now, you're an American, and you don't have to listen to me. You say, I don't have to listen to you. I'm a grown-up man. I almost said what James says. I'm a grown-up man. I don't have to listen to you. That is true. You don't have to listen to me. But, and but is something
In addition to,
however, nonetheless, if you want to have a good time up here, before you get here, I would suggest that you get your butt up off the couch and do a little bit of cardiovascular exercise, whether that's taking long walks or sprints or if you got a treadmill or whatever you got to do, man. Just saying. Wink, wink. All right. What else are we going to talk about today? Well, I guess we can just jump right into the Duracoat finished firearm of the week, if that's what we want to do.
let's do it.
You know what I always do, and it's just wrong, because my wife doesn't bring me coffee down right before the radio starts. I always get my coffee and I bring it down here, and then I power
Drink
up
it
all
all.
the stuff,
Yeah.
and we do all the checks and everything. And so by the time we're ready to do the show, it's just about gone.
You know what I did?
What you
I
do?
started doing so my coffee didn't get cold. I started doing this
Just doing
iced
iced coffee.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like, I know it's going to be cold anyway, so I might as well start that way. All right. What do I have for you guys today? Yes, I have in my hot little hands a Century Arms AK Autovat Kalashnikov, and it is done up like, well, I guess the Corpse Bride would appreciate this, or Jack Skellington, yeah, the Nightmare Before Christmas or whatever. What I've got on this Duber right here, it has, I installed Magpul furniture. I've got the Magpul forend, the Magpul Zukov folding stock. I've got the Magpul pistol grip, which is really nice. This is the one that's kind of a little bit tacky. I can't remember what they call it specifically,
tacky.
but it has, it's grippy. It's grippy. It's
Sorry,
like,
I went full Weird Al on you.
yeah, and of course I have a Gen 3 magazine in here. I've got and how do you know if it's a Gen 3? Because it has an orange follower and it has an orange tab at the butt. So this is a Century AK. I installed the Magpul furniture on it.
But is it a Century submachine gun?
No, it's not a submachine gun.
Okay,
For those of you on Gunbroker trying to win a submachine gun, good luck with that. If those of you that don't subscribe to Gunbroker, you don't know what I'm talking about. All right, the camouflage finish. The finish on this, I had 3 colors of paint: a sand brown, a kind of a sage green, and I blended them as I coated it. So you see some of the skulls are a little bit of a blend of the green and the sage brown, or the sage green, sand brown. And then the top coat was the slightly darker black. And of course, the template pattern, the skull template pattern, this comes from the folks at Duracoat. There's like 4 or 5 different styles of skulls that you can get that come with the template pattern. I'm kind of proud of it. I think it came out well. Kind of a Halloween. We actually officially introduced this on Halloween a few years ago. We did a video of it. And remember that, Zach, when I wore the gold skull mask?
I do remember that exactly. Yes, I'll find the video and I'll drop it in the.
We went out to the range and we had one of those, I don't know, like Nightmare Before Elm Street, Christmas, whatever, or Scream 2, 3, 4 golden skull masks. I don't even know where
the answer is none of them. I'm pretty sure it came from the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, whatever. So, that is the Duracoat finished firearm of the week. It is a Century AK that's all done up. And you say, all right, then what were you talking about before? You said there's a holiday in October. You mean Columbus Day? You mean Halloween? No, actually, the most important holiday in October is October 18th.
Yeah.
That is National Hug Your AK Day.
Hugging Your AK Day.
So as I'm looking at this, the calendar says this goes live on the 12th. So we'll go ahead and call it 3 months. You have 3 months to get your hands on a Kalashnikov rifle and do whatever you want to it. I don't care. But on the 18th, you need to hug it. So, and you know what's interesting about this year, Jared?
That it's 2021.
This will be National Hug Your AK Day number 10.
Oh, nice. 10-year
This
anniversary.
will be the 10th one.
This is the 10th annual.
This will be the 10th annual National Hug Your AK Day. Yes, indeed. So, and if you put in Hug Your
I have
AK
to
Day in your search engine, you'll come up with lots of stuff. So, AK Day, Hug Your AK Day, and then click images, and you'll see all kinds of images. You'll see T-shirts. You'll see the Tiger Woods one. You'll see Lynn Thompson. Then Then you'll see things that aren't related to it. And then every once in a while, we'll find that somebody posted a picture and we didn't even know about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, who's this guy? So National Hug Your AK Day is coming up. It's on its way. So I don't want to hear any crying or whining or, oh man, I didn't have time to prepare, or I didn't know this was coming up. No, wrong. You've got time. I just told you. And if you go to gunbroker.com right now, who doesn't sponsor us, you can sign up for a chance to win, according to them, an AK-47 submachine gun. Now, this is when you scratch your head and you say, hang on a second, Paul. The AK-47 shoots a centerfire rifle cartridge, not a pistol cartridge. So how could it possibly be a submachine gun? And I say to you, hey, I don't know. I'm just reporting the news. I'm just telling you what's out there. That's it. But I am telling you that you have 3 months to get yourself ready. And if you want to Duracoat your AK, if you want to make it look super cool and sexy, well, you have plenty of time. You have plenty of time to do so. And what you could do is you could go to Duracoat Finish Firearms, or I'm sorry, Duracoat Firearm Finishes.com. And if you were to do that, well, what you would find is you would find pretty much every kind of Duracoat you'd want. Now, you might be saying, but Paul, I don't know how. I don't feel that I have the skill to make it look nice. And I don't want to make it look not nice. I want to, I don't want it to be ugly. I want it to be good looking.
The skill is easy to acquire now.
It is. How can they acquire the skill, Jared?
Go to DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com and join their Duracoat University, is what it's called.
Yep.
And they're going to teach you how to do it. You can do it online, and I believe that they still have some of the in-person class stuff. I recommend, if you can get there, to go there. But if you can't, there's an option for online.
Yes. And you know what's interesting, at least to me, is that our friend from Cold Steel, Lynn Thompson, still has his hugging his AK picture up, and it links you to his website. So if you click on that, it takes you to his website, and then it also has a back channel link to us. Thank you for that, Lynn. I appreciate that. All right, so you've been warned. Now you know everything you need to know about hugging AKs and Duracoating AKs. Well, you say, I don't know everything yet. No, but you will once you go to Duracoat University. They will teach you everything you need to know. There you go. All right, Crossbreed holsters, we mentioned them earlier, or did we? Did we mention them earlier?
Offline we did.
Oh, that's right. We weren't on radio yet. So, but they want you to be dangerous on demand. How can you do that? Well, you go to crossbreedholsters.com and type in the promo code SOTG. You're going to save some money. That'll make you a happy camper, right? And get yourself a quality holster. That way you can carry your gun and be dangerous on demand. How's that sound?
I think it sounds like a fantastic idea.
I think it does too. And I think that if you texted BRN, short for Brownells, to 556-223, that you would get a text from them. Not all the time. They're not going to spam you. They're not like certain online gun companies, retailers that send you 2 emails a day. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down, Sparky. I don't need 2 emails a day from you. You're like, come on, Paul, don't you like them? I kind of like them, but I don't like them enough to read 2 emails a day. Nope, I don't. But if it works for them, I guess. But Brownells won't do that. They will just contact you when they have something to say. So there you go. Check those guys out at brownells.com. They are a family-owned business. They are in Grinnell, Iowa. And if you are cruising east or west on Interstate 80, make some time to stop by their shop. They have a massive, enormous pro shop there. And they have trophies. They've got, big stuffed rams and stuff like that. And if you say that Student of the Gun sent you, they'll give you a complimentary cup of coffee. So there you go. All right. Moving on. Well, it's Monday. Now, what happens on Mondays? Mondays, this is the time when you close the hole under your nose, open up both your ears, and listen just a little bit louder.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a complimentary online training course called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. Get instant access by joining the Student Lounge for free at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of these questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Yes, indeedy do. Yes, indeedy do. Boys, my sons, we have not discussed this previously, so let's do it now. I think, this is my opinion, that because we're coming up on the 10th annual, the 10th annual Hug Your AK Day, we should partner with some of our friends who are in the gun biz.
Yeah, I'm already working on it.
I think that would be pretty cool, don't you?
Yep.
And we've got enough
of them their messages to see what we want to do.
We got 3 months to get this thing together. So yeah, I think, and maybe you guys too. Many of you in my audience, this may be new to you. You're like, what is this? Of what does this man speak? I don't know. But you homies out there, my homies, you're like, yeah, I've been down with the sickness ever since you started doing this. As a matter of fact, what's interesting to me, Jerry?
A lot of things.
National Hug Your AK Day actually predates the launch of this radio show. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, it does.
It was the year before.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So, if you've been listening to us from the very beginning, you're like, man, you had the Hug Your AK thing before you even had the radio show. Now I had the TV show then, but not the radio show. So there you go. Little bit of insider stuff for you guys. This is what you get when you listen. Yeah, that's right. I got a question for you freaks and freakettes. How many of you guys listened to the bonus hour on Thursday about Am I the Only One? The new song by Aaron Lewis. How many of you listened to that and then went back this weekend and listened to Stained? I did. I pulled up the Stained radio station on my phone there, and I reintroduced myself to after I listened, of course, to. If you don't know, there is a new song by Aaron Lewis, and it's called Am I the Only One? And you need to listen to this. If you are a fan of Student of the Gun Radio and you have not heard it yet, well, you need to get to hearing it because it's good and it's poignant and he makes a good point. And that's Aaron Lewis. So it's really hard to find. You just type in either Only One Aaron Lewis or Aaron Lewis new song or whatever you want to do, and it will take you there. So, but yeah, I was this morning when I was making breakfast and getting my day ready, I went ahead, I put my Bluetooth speaker on and I put the Stained station on, and I've forgotten how many top 40 number one type songs those guys had. They had a bunch. You probably are like, it's been a while. That's what you're thinking. Did you get that, Jerry?
Yeah. It's, am I the only one? It's been a while.
You're probably thinking, it's been a while since I have listened to some Stained. It's been a while since I said I'm sorry.
I have a question.
I have a question, too.
Who wrote the orange note in the show notes?
Not me.
Was it Zach? Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
We were
Zach.
all three of us were on the same. We're on the same mindset.
I thought you wrote that, Jared.
No, that's funny because I was over here doing messages, and then you said that, and then I looked at the notes, and it was there in orange. I was like, "Wow, that must be like
Wow.
telepathy."
I'm taking
It's
full
kind of
credit
like we
for
know
it,
how to
though.
work together as a team. Huh?
That's funny.
What would you say, Zach?
I said I'm taking full credit for it, though.
Oh, you're saying full credit for it. Well, fantastic. You can take full credit for it. All right. Victim shaming. Victim shaming. Why? No, who victim shames? You're like, I know who victim shames. I know who victim shames.
DBs.
How did Zach? How did these notes sink down to the next part of the what in the world happened here?
That was when I went and put in the orange note. So I
Oh, okay. Can you go ahead and fix that for me so I'm not confused? All right. Victim shaming. What are some of the things that the left, the Democrats, the pro-criminal organization, because, a Democrat politician never meant a gang member or terrorist or criminal that they didn't like, because that's how they push their agenda. If you want to be honest, if we could be intellectually honest with ourselves for a second, remove all the emotion from the equation, you would have to admit that Democrats, socialists, statists, communists, whatever, they're all the same, that they actually love criminals. I mean, besides the fact that that criminals vote for them, because they, what is the famous Democrat politician mantra? Never allow a crisis to go to waste. So you create a crisis, then you capitalize on that by, taking the rights of the people and getting more power and money for yourself. Well, so what do Democrats, liberals, socialists say about crime victims? Here's some of the most common ones. And if you guys can think of more, well, go ahead. Why were you in that neighborhood? You shouldn't have been there. You should have known better than to stop at that gas station. Really? One of the most famous is rape victims. Why were you wearing that dress? Or why were you dressed like that? Or why would you go to a bar alone? Or why would you stay at a bar after your friends left? Or why would you get drunk? Or whatever. Just lock your doors and you'll be safe. Well, yeah, of course your car got broken into. Your doors weren't locked. Oh, okay. Of course your car got broken into. You left something valuable in view. Well, the doors of my car were locked. Yeah, but, criminals, they just smash the window out and take it. You should have known better than to leave anything in your car that a criminal could see. Christmas time, Jared. Christmas time, every major mall, right? In Minneapolis, in New York, New Jersey, whatever, everywhere in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. And so every major mall, what do they say about Christmas packages and presents? Don't do what?
Don't leave them out don't leave them out on your porch when they're delivered.
No. In your car. One of the big advice every Christmas for years. If you're going to go Christmas shopping and you're going to go to different stores and stuff, don't leave the presents in your car.
Oh,
where a thief can see them.
That's real advice?
Yo, that's real advice. Lock them in your truck or cover them with a blanket, but don't leave them in your car, even if the car's locked, where a thief can see them.
That's how you know you're getting old, because you're talking about going to stores and shopping for Christmas presents. It's like, dude, did mom exclusively do online shopping for Christmas last year?
Yep.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, it's different for you guys because you're in the middle of nowhere anyway.
Yeah, but your mom's also a woman. You know, she'll see something in August and think that would be a good Christmas present, and she'll buy it then.
Yeah, that's funny.
I buy my Christmas presents on December 22nd.
Yep.
This is one that goes back to New York. The New York City crime spree, and this is some advice that we used to have. And what's really crappy is a lot of these things that I'm saying come from the mouths of supposed law enforcement and security experts. Don't dress flashy or nicely or wear jewelry in public because you're just asking to be robbed. In New York City in the 70s and part of the 80s too, Giuliani cleaned it up in the 90s. And then, of course, we put in that clown DeBozo right now, and now it's a crap hole again. They literally would tell you that it was wrong to be in public dressed nicely. You don't want to dress like you have money. Don't wear jewelry, watches or necklaces or jewelry in public. You're just asking for it. Don't carry cash. There's another one. Don't carry cash. You should never carry cash on you, because if you carry cash on you, then you're losing more from being robbed. And of course, the last one, if you are robbed, just comply and give them what they want. Now, all of the things I just said, all of the things that I just said have to do with or have been applied to human beings being victimized by criminals. And every one of those places the onus not on the criminal, but on the victim. It's the responsibility of the victim not to be robbed. It's the responsibility of the victim to alter their mode of dress, to be careful what they have, what they wear, what they go. You shouldn't have stopped at that gas station. Why? Remember in Mississippi when an elderly gentleman was shot to death at a Shell station, a 24-hour Shell station in Pascagoula? And the local police representative who was talking to the media said, yeah, it was a bad idea for him to have been there, and they shouldn't have stopped. It's a 24-hour Shell gas station. If you weren't supposed to stop there, why is it open? Well, yeah, but crime in that area is really bad. Okay, officer of the law enforcement officer. So what you just said to me is that crime in that area is really bad.
Well, what do you know about being a cop, though?
Yeah, you don't know anybody over here, a cop, Paul Markle.
You weren't a cop for almost 2 decades.
Walked a mile in their boots. I don't want to hear from you. Yeah, I walked a lot of miles in those boots. So the solution is we can't stop the criminals. We can't actually go after the criminals. We have to tell the victims to be not good victims or to be better victims, or I don't know what it is, right? Now, you say, right now, a lot of you guys are saying, you're like, yeah, Paul, duh, that's a bunch of crap. And we all agree with you. Victim shaming from the left, from Democrats and Democrats and liberals and so forth, that's crap. You don't tell the victim, well, yeah, you know why you got robbed? Because you're wearing a nice watch. You should have known better. You shouldn't wear nice watches. You shouldn't wear jewelry or necklaces. You shouldn't dress like you have a good job. That's wrong. On our side, we say, that's a bunch of crap. You don't excuse crime because the victim was wearing nice clothing. That's like when you get your car stolen and they say to you, well, if you wouldn't have had a nice car, then the thieves wouldn't have targeted you and stolen it. You should drive a 1978 Datsun with 3 different colored doors and a rusted out hood. Because if you're driving a 1978 Datsun that you have to roll down a hill and pop the clutch to get started, then thieves wouldn't have stolen it. But you had to go out and buy a nice new car. Yeah, you were driving a nice new car and it got stolen from you. So what did you learn? It's your fault as the victim. You should have known better. Okay. So you, as my listening audience, you would not say that to another person, right? My listening audience, you say that, you're right, Paul, that is a bunch of crap. We don't blame the victim for the actions of the criminal. That's not the solution. The solution is not to blame the victim. The solution is not to tell people to be less good victims. The solution is to deal with the actual problem, which is crime, which is violent crime. That's the solution. The solution isn't to tell people to hide your valuables, lock your doors. That's not the solution. Then why is it, Jared and Zachary too, why is it that the same people in my audience who would never dream of engaging in victim shaming, they would never dream of blaming the woman who was wearing a nice, sexy dress for getting raped? Well, if you wouldn't have been wearing that sexy dress, you wouldn't have gotten raped. You should have dressed in a burqa or sackcloth or something. You'd never do that, right? Okay. Then how come it is that my audience, when a wild animal, and in this case a bear, attacks and kills a human, why do people in my audience, I'm not talking about PETA, I'm not talking about NPR, I'm not talking about Biden for president's audience, I'm talking about the mother-fletching, mother-loving, student of the gun audience. You people who would never victim shame a person that was attacked, robbed, burglarized, whatever, you wouldn't do that. But when a person gets attacked by a predatory animal, the first thing many, not all, but many of you in my audience do is, well, what did they do? The victim of the bear attack did something wrong. Should have done something else. Jared, will you please read the newest story for Mr. Pogue? I hope Mr. Pogue's listening. Mr. Pogue is the one who says that it's stupid to carry a gun in the wild because you're more likely to hurt yourself than to ever need it to protect yourself against animals, because it never happens. This just happened.
It says Montana town of grizzly attack, a popular stop for cyclists. A tiny western Montana town where a grizzly bear pulled a woman from her tent and killed her this weekend welcomes visitors year-round to the Mountain Valley community along the banks of a river made famous by the movie A River Runs Through It. They come to Ovando to fish, hike, camp, and float the river in the summer, and to snowmobile, cross-country ski, or snowshoe in the winter. Man, that sounds a lot like Saratoga and encampment.
Sounds kind of familiar.
The warmer months also bring cyclists traversing the scenic Great Divide Mountain bike route, which this year runs nearly 2,500 miles from northern Montana to southern New Mexico. That's a long trek. A break in the long-anticipated ride on that route is what brought Leah Davis Loken, 65, of Chico, California, to the town on Monday for an overnight stay, her friends said. She and her party were camped near the town's post office and museum. Is it a post office museum? When a grizzly bear pulled her out of her tent and killed her early Tuesday. Good Lord. That's horrible.
It is horrible.
It was the second time the bear was at the campsite that night, they said. Wildlife officials spent Thursday trying to find and kill the approximately 400-pound bear, but came up empty for a third day straight. The sheriffs closed the informal campsites around the town at least until Sunday, and the town opened up a fire station and church for cyclists to sleep inside. That was nice of them.
Mm-hmm.
The town already had an old jail that had been remodeled with some cots for campers. It said Kathleen Schudendorfer, who owns the Blackfoot Angler Fishing Shop with her husband. Ovando sees about 1,000 cyclists per year who are traveling the Great Divide route. Schonendorfer estimated, with varying numbers staying overnight. The route loosely follows the Continental Divide, at times zigzagging over it on gravel roads, dirt roads, and trails, and some single tracks, said Dylan Key, who works at the Great Divide Cyclery in Helena. There are also some highway miles. Most of this next stuff is talk about the route.
Yeah. Okay. So what really bothers me is that people that are in the student of the gun audience are so quick to victim shame when a wild animal, bears, wolves, coyotes, mountain lions, whatever, attack a human, rather than saying, sometimes predators are just predators. Predators are predators. It's in their nature, and it is in our nature to deal with it, right? You got a problem? Yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while DJ revolves it. So
Ding, 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 ding. Ice.
Here we go. Here's a great comment. And you know what? If you post publicly on Facebook and you don't want me to read your comment on the radio, your comment is public for the whole world to see. Just so you know. This is horrific it's horrific for this woman, but we need to understand that when you decide to enter where wildlife belongs, this can happen. They were in the town. Someone else said, that's why you shouldn't be tent camping. Camp in an RV instead. Yeah, because everybody's got a fucking $100,000 for an RV, right? What kind of elitist crap is that? Well, that's why you shouldn't be in a tent. You should be in an RV instead. Oh, okay.
They're biking. Are they supposed to pull an RV with a bicycle?
Yeah, they're bicycling. Well, that you shouldn't be out there then.
Well, here's the deal. What we know about, I would venture to say that the people that are commenting are not in the Student of the Gun audience because they're not listening to the show. And also, they didn't read the story.
Well, sadly, Jared, there's a lot of names that I recognize who have been there for a while.
That's too bad.
They had their food in their tents. They shouldn't have done that. Everything, including toothpaste, deodorant, and food, should be hung up in a bear bag. It was their fault. And one of our students, see, I love our students because they're smart. Someone said they weren't in the middle of nowhere on the side of a mountain. They were in the town. Like, yeah, well, they should have put their food in a bear bag and hung it from a tree. They were in town. Do you know how many human smells that were around them? You're telling me that this little group of bicyclists camped next to the post office were the only food smell source in the whole town? Everyone else in the town had, well, when I go to bed at night, I take all of my food and I lock it in a bear bag and I stick it in the attic so that the bear can't smell it. Do you know how wild animals smell? Jared, do you remember? You probably don't because you were little. When we went to the coyote hunting seminar. Yeah, you don't remember.
No.
But it was a real famous coyote hunter. Anyway, the way he explained it is you understand how their sense of smell works. He said, this is a great example. He said, there's all these different scents in the air, right? He said, now if I say to you, turn to your right and look at that wall and find the color red. Could you do it? And everyone in the seminar turned to the right and we're like, yeah, well, right there's red. He said, but what else is on that wall? What are the colors? And we were in a retail store, actually a conference room in a retail store, a big hunting at some fishing store. We're like, well, like every color. There's like green and brown and tan and different colors of green and different colors of black and different colors of whatever. He goes, exactly. He said, that's how an animal's sense of smell works. He said, they smell and they can pick out and differentiate, because there's all kinds of, to them, they're constantly getting hit with all these different senses, all these different scents. He said, and they pick out all these different ones. And the point of his discussion, he said, look, if you're going to hunt coyotes, the most important thing is not, everyone's like scent blocker and all this stuff. He said, it is nearly impossible to mask your scent from an animal. Because they're like, oh, look, I smell, deodorant, and I smell gasoline, and I smell, bacon and eggs, and I smell also scent blocker and so forth. He said, what's more important is the wind direction. He said, if you're going to be successful, first figure out the wind direction. He goes, and stop worrying about all the other stuff. And there's actually another hunter who got up in the morning, drank coffee, ate bacon and eggs, put on a Santa Claus suit, and went out into the woods to hunt coyotes. And he harvested coyotes, and there was actually a picture of him holding a coyote he shot in the Santa Claus suit.
That's funny.
And the whole reason he did it was he said he wanted to prove or demonstrate how wind direction is more important than scent blocker and camouflage and everything else, right? So this is not the first time this has happened, Jared. This is what bothers me. So, all right. And like I said, one of our people pointed out, they said they were in town. Do you know how many smells of man there are in town? These people, like I said, these people were not all by themselves. They weren't the only humans for 50 miles on the side of a mountain by the bear's den. They would expect, people were like, well, you're in Montana. You got to expect wherever you are. You could be taking a crap and bam, there's a deer. Or I'm sorry, a bear. You could be sitting on the crapper. Next thing you know, pow, the door busts open. There's a grizzly bear. You should have known when you were sitting on the crapper that grizzly bear could come. It's your responsibility. Moving on. This story here just happened. Next story. Jared, if you want to talk about it, just read the story.
Attacked by a bear while sleeping in a hammock in Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
Mm-hmm.
Says a teenage girl camping with her family was attacked by a bear in the middle of the night while she was sleeping in a hammock. The 16-year-old is still recovering and waking up in a nightmare, or after waking up in a nightmare.
Okay, so stop right there. We posted that story, and out of an abundance of sarcasm, I said, what did the teen girl do to cause the attack, to cause the bear to attack her? Out of an abundance of sarcasm. People jumped into the Student of the Gun page and said, yeah, bears don't just attack for no reason. She must have had food in her hammock with her. Or she must have eaten food and the smell of food was still on her hands. Like someone else, well, they should have known better than to be camping out in the wild where bears live. People who would never, ever think of shaming a rape victim or a robbery victim, saying, well, you shouldn't have gone into that store. You should have known better than to stop and go into that gas station, because if you wouldn't have gone in there, you wouldn't have gotten robbed. If you wouldn't have gone to that bar that night, if you wouldn't have gone to that nightclub and worn a nice dress and heels, you wouldn't have got raped. It's your fault. People who would never say that, the first thing they say when an animal attacks a human is, what did the human do wrong? Next story. You guys remember this one, and I'm sure that this, I don't know how much Chinese food this guy's getting now, or Korean food, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how much Korean food this kid is getting now, but it's going to be some serious punani, because this kid, Camp Teen awakens to crunching sound as bear bites his head. He was a camp counselor, asleep in his tent, wakes up, bear's got him by the head. He jammed his thumbs into the bear's eyeballs to make it let him go. So this 19-year-old kid is sleeping in a tent. And in the story, if you go down, they had done everything right. Hung their food in bear bags. Blah, 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 blah. What did this kid do wrong? What did he do to deserve the bear attack? Did he do something to deserve it? He should have known better than to be camping in the woods. How dare you? Okay. You're still not a believer? You're still not a believer. You say, no, they all did something wrong. They were all wrong. They shouldn't have been camping. They shouldn't have been in tents. They were all wrong. They all deserved it. Last story. Mother and baby killed by grizzly bear in Yukon outside of their cabin. Father returned home to find the bodies of his wife and child after they had been mauled and killed by a grizzly bear. What did the mom and her baby do wrong? What did they do to encourage the bear attack? Did she have food inside her home in the cabin? Shouldn't have had food inside the cabin. They went outside. They were found dead 100 yards from the cabin. They should have known better than to go outside in the middle of the day. You got to understand, if you go outside in the daytime, a bear's going to kill you, and you can't blame the bear. You know what's even more disgusting is that after the girl in her hammock was attacked by the bear, the game officials hunted the bear down and killed it. And someone said, this is terrible. Because a human made a bad choice, now an innocent bear had to die. Why do we victim shame people who are attacked by predatory animals, but we wouldn't do it for humans? You wouldn't do it for a rape victim. You wouldn't do it for that, but you'll victim shame. All four of these people were just trying to enjoy America's great outdoors, and in one case, Canada. And were attacked and in two cases killed, in two cases injured by predatory animals. And what do? We blame the victim. You know, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you have said the reason that Chicago is so screwed up and New York is catching up to Chicago now and Philadelphia is so screwed up and, et al., is because we coddle the criminals. We make excuses for them. Democrats go out every day and make excuses for criminals. The mayor of Chicago, doesn't matter who the mayor is, every mayor of Chicago and every police chief of Chicago, they don't hold it's not the criminal's fault. Whose fault is it, Jared? Or what's fault is it in Chicago?
It's either the item or the victim for
the gun. Yeah. It's not the fault of criminal gangbangers, of predatory criminals. It's not their fault. It's the people who live in Indiana and have all this gun freedom. If people in Indiana didn't have all that gun freedom that they have, then monsters in Chicago wouldn't be murdering each other every holiday weekend. And you, as a reasonable, intelligent person, say, that is the absolute wrong thing to do. If you're Chicago, if you're New York, if you're Philadelphia, what are you doing? You're enabling the criminals by making excuses for them, by blaming the victim, by blaming guns. It's everyone's fault but the criminal. And we know this. And the criminals know this. And what they've done is they made the problem worse by enabling the predator. What's going on in America? These brown bears are nationally protected animals. That means even the state can't decide on its own to have a hunting season because the EPA stepped in, the Department of the Interior stepped in, the feds stepped in and declared these animals to be protected. Ever since the brown bears and the grizzlies were protected, the grizzly versus human attacks have gone up. Would you not say that this is a perfect example of, well, scumbag Democrats, because that's what the EPA is full of, scumbag Democrats as socialists, enabling predators? Those idiots in Colorado, they're trying to create a wolf problem where a wolf problem currently doesn't exist. Oh, wolves are just solitary creatures and they would never attack humans or domestic livestock. Those are just fairy tales. There's a dead a dude who was a elk guide here in Wyoming 3 years ago. He's now dead because while they were doing their business, a bear attacked and killed him. I guess he shouldn't have been there, right, Jared? He should have known better than to be an elk guide. Shouldn't have been out there. It's his fault. You know, we bring this stuff up all the time because we want you to be smart enough to be armed. And a lot of our guys are like, I don't go in the woods without a gun. And you go in the woods without a gun, you're an imbecile. If you go anywhere without a gun, you're an imbecile. But it doesn't do us any good. It's pretty screwed up when people who are supposed to be on the right team, when their first reaction is to victim shame. Well, what do you want to do? Just here's what's going on in Montana right now. There is a, quote, killer bear on the loose. That bear is going, if they don't get it, it's gonna kill again. Animals like bears, wolves, mountain lions, and so forth, should smell humans and go the other way. They should smell humans and go the opposite direction. Say, hey, I smell humans, I'm going to go over here now. If you have predatory animals that smell humans and then go toward them to attack them, you've got a problem. And you know how you solve that problem? Well, I tell you how you don't solve it. You don't solve it by blaming the victim. All right, I'm done. But let me tell you what, members of my audience, some of you are spot on and you're good to go. Some of you need to go find a mirror and look into it. Say, well, I would never do that to a human. You would never victim shame a human, right? Then why are you victim shaming the victims of a wild animal attack? Why is it your natural reaction to always blame the person? They shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have been intense. They shouldn't have been in the woods where bears live. That's one of my favorite genius comments. Well, they should have known better than to be in the woods where bears live. They were intense in the grass next to a post office. Well, but there are bears in the state of Montana. So they shouldn't have been in the state of Montana. They should have been in an RV, not a tent. Oh, because everybody's got $100,000 for an RV, right? I guess the woman and the dead woman and her baby, they shouldn't have been in a cabin in the Yukon because bears live in the Yukon. Stop it. I don't want to hear it anymore. And if that's how you want to be, go listen to NPR. Go listen to the PETA station or whatever. Because here at Student of the Gun, you need to be a little bit better. You need to be a little bit smarter than the average.
The average bear.
That's right. You got to be smarter than the average bear if you want to be here.
We've got one question. It says, do you have any recommendations on a pocket holster for a subcompact?
Yep. Toughproducts.com. The Pocket Roo is probably I love Crossbreed, but here's the fact of the matter. The Tough holsters or the Tough Products Pocket Roo is the best pocket scabbard I've ever used.
Yep. There's a link in the show notes for you.
I think that Carol should just write them a big check and buy
and buy it
and buy them.
Yeah, because I don't think Crossbreed makes any.
They make a pocket holster. But the Tough Products Pocket Roo is a really good product. Now, for magazines, the Crossbreed people have a pocket magazine holder that's really good. You can check that out. But yeah, if you got a subcompact or a minigun or revolver or whatever, I've been using the Tough Products pocket holsters for years and always been.
You can carry a minigun in your pocket?
Yeah, I carried a minigun. Ask your mom. All right. Moving on. I guess we're going to move on to talking about what's coming up on Wednesday. The government cannot keep you safe. You say, duh. And I say, well, duh, but I have more proof of that, and we're going to share it. And this is actually a callback to a previous show. So that, we'll have Brownell's Bullet Points, a homeroom, and all kinds of goodness on Student of the Gun Radio. So until then, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.
All right, so that's episode 1 for today.
Yep. There you go.
We want to take about 10 minutes.
Yes.
My mouth doesn't work. All right, guys. We'll be back in approximately 10 minutes. So practice patience, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
All right, we are back. And Susie turns off that copyrighted music. There we go.
All right.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome you are.
Welcome back, Cotter.
Now, Jared isn't back, but we can see his back.
I see him.
But he's not wearing his headphones. Like a little... not going to curse. Hey, Jared.
He's not going to hear you.
Yeah, I know.
He's fixing his chair.
Well, stop breaking your chair. Silly boy. I could have kept vacuuming.
You could have kept vacuuming. Were you vacuuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was vacuuming and working on the dishes, and then I also cleaned off the mat that's in front of my fridge.
Oh, that's good.
So this the place that I was... Did I mention the place that I went and looked at yesterday? Oh, yeah, I mentioned that I looked at a place.
You said to Jared, but not to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the nicest bathrooms I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that's good.
And it's a pretty damn good-sized place for not too much. It's $1,500 a month, which is kind of a lot, but it's 2 floors, 2 baths, 4 bedrooms, a den, 3 fenced-in backyard, a shed, 3 fireplaces, full kitchen.
Sweet Buddha.
So, ain't too bad.
Who's going to be living there with you?
Me, Sammy, and then she might have her adult niece moving in with us.
Hello.
Hello.
And then with all that room, I could do plenty of work things to write off on my taxes.
Well, there you go. All right.
Hey, listen.
I'm listening. Yay!
All better.
Gee, we never hear the squeak. It's only you who hears the
Oh, no,
squeak.
I heard it. You're just deaf.
All right. Cool.
Are we live?
Yes.
What's up, fuckers?
We are still live to everybody in the world. They can hear us.
All right. Zach,
right.
did you write down where I said the F word?
I did write down where you said the fuck word.
Okay.
Also, John Hesse.
He said the F word?
No.
Oh.
We're public on like family friendly stuff, so I won't say what I was going to say.
Good.
The joke that you made that I deliberately ignored, he's like, by the way, didn't you catch that joke your dad said? Like, no.
Yeah, he did, but he's let it go.
Hardy.
Indeed. Indubitably.
All right. So, are you both ready to start doing stuff again?
Yep. Whenever you're ready, we're ready.
All ready, Roo. All right, Dad, you go ahead and start us off in 3, 2.
All right. Welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. It is a Wednesday episode of Student of the Gun Radio. Oh, man, we are already on 1071. Over 1,070 episodes of this show. Can you believe that? That's cray squared for all you young Gen Z hipsters right there. Today on the show, we're going to have Brownell's bullet points. We're going to talk about what goes on your feeties. You're like, what? Yes, indeed. We're going to talk about can the government keep you safe? Whose responsibility is it to keep you safe? Well, we'll find out. And are you on the list? This is interesting. And you say, well, we already talked about the list. But we haven't talked about the other one. So bear with me. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. All of that on today's episode of Student of the Gun Radio.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Yep, that's me. Here I am, the pimp hand of America. Wasn't a job I was looking for. It was one that I accepted very humbly. Can you accept the job of pimp hand humbly? Is that possible? I don't know. Well, I'll have to go to the council. I'll have to go to the Pimps Council and sit down with them and we'll hash it out. Chocolate giddy up. Mo bitches. What were some of the other pimps' names? Chocolate giddy up, Mo bitches,
Captain Kangaroo Pimp.
Captain Kangaroo. Who was in charge of the Pimps Council? You remember who was in charge of the Pimps Council?
I know it, but I can't remember right now.
The only one I can always
We said Chocolate Giddy Up,
remember
right?
is Chocolate
No, it wasn't
Giddy Up.
Chocolate Giddy Up. He was in charge of the Pimps Council.
I don't remember.
If you guys do not know of that of which I speak, then you have obviously not watched Black Dynamite. And you're wrong. But the good news is you have the opportunity to correct yourself by watching Black Dynamite. And somewhere in a box in this house, probably. Jared, do you have a box at your house full of DVDs?
No, but Zach does.
Zach does?
Or that might be in the storage.
Because I'm missing a whole entire box of movies.
Yeah, I was pretty much given the responsibility of movie keeper, so I have a lot of our own movies.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So after I go to the Pimps Council and we hash it out, then I'll come back and I'll let you guys know. Oh, that's one of those. You're like, you're telling insider jokes again. Not really. Not really. You either saw the movie or you didn't. And we've been talking about that for a while. So stop acting like it's new. All right, Chocolate Giddy Up. All right. Questions and answers. You got questions. We got answers. There you go. You're listening live. If you're on Facebook or YouTube or Discord and you got a live question, drop it in there. Drop it in there. Okay. Boys, before we get into the bullet points, you have anything you need to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's hit it then. All right. Brownell's Bullet Points brought to you by Brownell's, of course. And just in case you missed it, I'm going to remind you. Last week we played a video clip, an audio clip from Pete Brownell, where he was talking about Pete used really nice language, but I'll say the scumbag pieces of human filth that inhabit the federal government, specifically the criminal organization called the ATF or the AFT. Sorry, I had to fix that. The AFT. Don't want to insult Sniffy Joe there. But if you go to Brownell's website, you open it up on the homepage, right below the scrolling banner, there's a little thing called the Second Amendment Action Center. And if you click on that, they will give you some updates, links to take action to. The AFT's comments about the 80% lowers, AFT's comments about braces, the contact your senator about that unconvicted criminal David Chipman, and so on and so forth. And Pete makes or Brownell's, I don't know if Pete wrote this, but Brownell's makes a great point. You imbeciles in Arizona elected that Democrat scumbag piece of crap, Mark Kelly, as your senator. What is wrong with you? Actually, I know what's wrong with you. And I know what's wrong with the system. The system is rigged, and the Democrats could run a table lamp, and that person would get elected. That's why Hillary moved to New York to become a senator, because you could run a table lamp with a D behind it, and they will get elected. But actually, they make a good point. Mark Kelly is married to Gabby Giffords, who runs the anti-gun movement. I don't know, citizens who are scumbag Democrats against guns or whatever. I can't remember what the name is. But Chipman is employed by and getting money from Giffords, the wife of Kelly. Is it not an extreme conflict of interest for Kelly to have a vote on this guy who's being paid by his wife? Do you guys not see that as an extreme conflict of interest? Tell me, boys, you do you or don't you? You're like, no, Paul, it's Dad, it's great. It works. It's fine. No big deal.
Oh yeah, that's a conflict of interest.
Have you ever thought about that though? And I guess my big question is, where is the fourth estate on this? Where are the guardians of free speech and liberty in America? The people at the New York Times and the Chicago Times and the CNNs and the NBCs, all these people who are the watchdogs for the people. The fourth estate, supposed to keep government honest. Where are they on this? And why hasn't this been brought up multiple times and shown to the American people? You're like, yeah, this Senator Mark Kelly, Chipman is on his wife's payroll. So giving him a vote on this guy's nomination is a serious, hardcore conflict of interest. I would almost say that it's to the point where a judge needs to weigh in and say, yeah, that's a complete and total conflict of interest. Thank you very much to Brownells for pointing that out to us. Now, when we have Brownells bullet points, we tend to talk about gear, right? This is our opportunity to talk about stuff you buy, stuff you own, stuff you bolt onto your gun, stick into your gun, stuff that is a gun. If it can go in, on, or around a gun, Brownells probably has it, right? But here's something I'm going to say to you guys. We got a question here from James Shield. He said, what are some good boots? Okay, great question. And I would say to you, cats and kittens out there in the audience, I know you like to buy guns. You like to talk about guns. You like to take guns to the range. You like to go to the gun shops and this and talk to your friend. But before you go and buy another gun or a polished mag well for your 1911 or an extended slide release or an extended double-handed ambidextrous, tridextrous, whatever, safety for your AR, whatever, before you buy any more of that stuff, walk over to your closet, open it up, and take a gander at your boots or your lack thereof. Maybe you're a person who wears a tie to work and you have 4 pairs of nice dress shoes. You got the brown shoes that go with the blue suits in the brown belt. And you got the black shoes that go with the gray suits and so on and so forth. And you got all these nice shoes. Do you have a comfortable, high quality pair of boots? When's the last time you bought a pair of boots? You say, I don't have to buy boots. I bought boots 27 years ago and they're good. If they're still good, great. All the guns and gear and ammo and stuff aren't going to do you much good if your feet hurt and you can't walk 100 yards. Because all that stuff's not going to carry itself. What, it's not? What do you mean not going to carry itself? Yeah, that stuff's not going to carry itself. Those things in the bottom of your legs, your feet, you need to take care of those. So I'm gonna hip you guys. So before you run out and buy another gun or accessory or the latest, coolest red anodized hollow grip, there's some really interesting things floating around there right now. How's that for being nice? There's some interesting stuff out there. Before you spend money on that stuff, and if you already have great boots and great socks and everything, then drive on. I am very, very impressed with the Irish Setter boots, which is a subset of Red Wing. Can you concur, Jared? Would you be willing to concur on that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been wearing those boots, the Irish Setter boots, in the summer, the winter, through snow, through water, through pretty much all the different kinds of elements that you would encounter out in nature, and they're fantastic.
Rocks, sand, water, snow, mud, everything. They're not technically insulated winter boots, but they're insulated enough to keep your feet warm in the snow and the wet. They are water resistant up to, I don't know, I've walked through snow in them, and I've walked through mud and streams and stuff, and my feet never got wet on the inside. Uh, and here's the big thing. I worn them for 12 to 14 hours and then taking them off and my feet were fine. That is a big testament to boots. Can you take your boots off after 12 hours and your feet are fine? And you say, well, I don't need big, heavy boots. I need something lightweight, like a 3/4 boot or a, I don't know what you call them, a tennis shoe type thing. What would you call the Merrells? Hiking shoes? Because they're not really boots.
You know what I'd call them?
What?
I'd call them Special Forces Operator shoes.
Yeah, if you're on Special Forces Operator shoes.
Sorry. I had to,
Actually, I've had some people tell me that that their Merrells needed a break-in. They needed some break-in. And I suppose any boot can need, any boot or shoe or footwear or whatever could have a break-in period. The ones that I have and I shared them with you are the Moab. They're called the Moab ventilators. Essentially, they're light shoes, but they have a very, very rigid. They have Vibram soles, and if you don't know boots or shoes, Vibram soles are it. The Vibram soles have actually been the go-to boot sole since I was in the Marine Corps. I have a pair of jungle boots that have Vibram soles on them. I used to know seasoned dudes like corporals and sergeants in the infantry would go buy a standard pair of jungle boots and without ever wearing them, take them directly to the boot guy and have him tear off the original soles and put Vibrams on them. Just take those off, put the Vibrams on them. I'll come pick them up in 2 weeks. I'm not even going to put them on my feet until you do that. That is the quality of Vibram soles. So the ones that I've got, I'm pretty happy with. If you don't want to spend the money for Merrells, the next one that I've had good luck with are Columbia's. Columbia footwear. I've had Columbia footwear is kind of like the footwear for dudes that don't want to pay Merrell prices.
Does Danner still make boots?
Danner does still make boots. I've had some good Danner boots over the years. And unfortunately, a lot of the good boots I had over the years, I've just worn them a lot, and they just come apart. I will say this: I don't wear them all the time now, but my jungle boots, I have had those for 30 some years. I think I got them in '89 at the PX at Lejeune, or '89 or '88. You're like, oh well, you ain't had them that long.
Did you resole them?
Oh yeah.
How many times?
They're on set 3.
3.
Yeah. They're on their 3rd set of soles. And this is when you kids, you Gen Z people are like, what is this guy talking about? Resoling boots. What does he mean?
It's like putting new tires on your car.
Yeah, it's like putting new tires on your car. The car's still fine. You don't throw the car away because it needs new tires. And in America, we used to understand that you don't throw the boots away because the soles wear out. You put new soles on them, and then they're especially leather boots that are broken into your foot. Broken in? What is this guy talking about? I know. So that is my recommendation. My current recommendation to you is if you're looking for, and I'm sure you guys out there, you got other suggestions, and that's great. But I'm telling you what has worked for me and what I know is quality. The Irish setter boots are quality. I know that. I'm 2-3 years into wearing those, and I can tell you that I'm very happy with them. If they were going to screw up, they'd have screwed up by now. What else? What else was I going to say? Oh, the Merrells. Jared's got a pair. Jared and I have the exact same shoes. Only I didn't know that he had the same shoes as me. He bought his 2 years ago, and I just bought mine like 2-3 weeks ago or a month ago. Uh, so they're good. They're nice, lightweight.
I love the Merrills.
And then, and if you don't want to pay Merrill prices, I would say the next one is Columbia. And the nice thing about those kind of shoes is you pack both the boots and the shoes when you go on a trip.
Yeah,
because
ankle support or none.
Yeah, and you got the ankle support for the field work, and then if you're just hanging around the campfire or chilling, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. We're talking about boots, and recently I bought some boots, and I don't know if I talked about it on the radio. Did I talk about the radio about not being able to find them? I was kind of shocked.
No,
because I was searching for boots, and I went the first place I went. I ordered the boots. I placed the order for the boots, and then I got an email 2 days later. It says, "Hey, we canceled your order."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Like, oh well, thanks. Yeah, those are out of stock. Well, were they out of stock when you accepted my order 2 or 3 days ago? Are you in the habit of just accepting orders on out of stock products? So I'm like, all right, well, F it. I was going through a wholesaler or a retailer. So I'll just go to the manufacturer. I'll go to the manufacturer's website and I'll pay the manufacturer's price on the website. I go there, they're out of stock too. And I thought, I wonder if this is a trend. So I started going other places searching for boots. I'm on the Danner website right now. The Marine Expeditionary boots. Everything from size 8.5 to size 13 out of stock. What? Yeah. I went to another site and I searched for boots. Out of stock. The trend today, ladies and germs, is if you're looking for boots, all the common sizes are out of stock. Now, this isn't 100% everywhere, but this is America, and it's kind of weird to me. And I've got to think that this is a trickle down from the vid crisis that we created. And remember the shipping container crisis, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff couldn't be shipped because there weren't enough containers. This is when you say, this is America in 2021. What do you mean I can't get what I need because there aren't enough containers? That doesn't even make sense. Or what do you mean? Sadly, most of your favorite boots are all made in the same factory. What? No, that's not true. Oh, yeah, it is. Trust me, I know. I'm in the industry. Most of the boots are made in the same factories, regardless of the name that's stitched onto the side of it. And so if X company can't get them out and get them made, then Y company's probably not getting them out, getting them made either. The Merrills that I just bought, I bought from a local store. Unfortunately, they were on sale because I saw them and I was like, ooh, I know how much those cost online plus shipping, and that's less. So I said, sold. I whipped out my plastic and I said, sold. You might, if you're looking for footwear, cats and kittens, you might want to take your butt into an actual retail store and hunt around. Jared, do you know the name? I'm trying to figure out the name of our favorite boots. The Irish Setter boots, the brand. Or I know that they're the brand, but what is the actual model of the boots that we're trying to convince people to buy? That's a great question, Dad, and I'm glad that you asked it.
Let me look. I can't remember which ones they were.
I know I can't either. Are they the wing shooter? No, they're not the wing shooter. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about boots, but that is my recommendation to you. Do not neglect your feet before you go out and buy another piece or part or widget or gadget or whatever to throw onto a gun. How about you make sure you have really good boots or footwear? That's what I would suggest. All right, Zach. I'm gonna do a couple plugs. Then you can go ahead and play the. You could play this week's thing. All right. You don't want to have an ugly gun. I don't want to have an ugly gun. Nobody does. Go to DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com. They have everything you need so that you don't have an ugly gun. It's as simple as that. SWAT fuel. Sometimes you're walking around, and sometimes you got to walk a long distance. You need an extra kick in your butt. You get the 9mm plus P from SWAT fuel. Use the promo code SOTG at SWATfuel.com. All right. Now is the time that I turn the microphone over to Zachary.
ShopSOTG.com is the perfect place to go if you are a student of the gun. Whether you want to expand your brain, increase your marksmanship, or help keep your family safe. All that, plus the pimp-hand brands that you love. ShopSOTG.com has almost anything that an American patriot would want. Education, enlightenment, and entertainment, and we're open 24/7. Check out ShopSOTG.com today and see for yourself.
Absolutely. What Zach just said. Do that thing. All right? And then after you do that thing, come back and talk to me. We'll have a good time. Oh, man. What else is next? What else are we going to talk about? Well, every single Wednesday for the last long time, because I do love you long time. For the last long time, we have been doing this little thing that we like to call the Student of the Gun homeroom. Get it? Education homeroom. See the pattern there? That's Dangerous by Madison Rising. Madison Rising, that is the name of the band. The song is called Dangerous, and we have express written permission to use it. Well, why did we use that for the homeroom? Well, because it's sponsored by Crossbreed Holsters, and they want you freaks to be dangerous on demand. You mean like actually carrying your gun? Yep. Like actually carrying your gun on you. I know. Crazy talk. Use the promotional code when you shop at, you can click the link and take it right there. But type in SOTG when you check out. You're going to save money. You're going to get a great holster, a great belt. You're going to be a happy camper. It's all good. All right. You guys remember when a piece of human filth went schizo in a small town in Texas, and a couple of American citizens had to grab their rifles and put an end to him? You remember that? Well, I remember it. Well, a federal court has finally, that was 2017, gotten around to issuing their opinion on the situation. And we're going to remind you, in case you weren't here and paying attention, we want you to know. All right, Jared, this is from the Associated Press, apnews.com.
Start your day with AP Morning Wire.
That's right.
Judge, Air Force mostly at fault in 2017 Texas church attack. Good Lord, that was 4 years ago now.
Yep, Dateline, Austin, Texas.
A federal judge has ruled that the U.S. Air Force is mostly responsible for a former serviceman killing more than 24 people at a Texas church in 2017 because it failed to submit criminal history into a database, which should have prevented him from purchasing firearms. U.S. District Judge Xavier Rodriguez in San Antonio wrote in a ruling signed Wednesday that the Air Force was 60% responsible for the massacre at First Baptist Church in the small town of Sutherland Springs. If these pop-ups don't stop, I'm going to do things to this internet.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Authorities put the official death toll at 26 because one of the 25 people killed was pregnant. The attack remains the worst mass shooting in Texas history. It says, this is a quote from Rodriguez, and he says, the trial conclusively established that no other individual, Not even Kelly's own parents or partners knew as much as the United States about the violence that Devin Kelly had threatened to commit and was capable of committing. Kelly had served nearly 5 years in the Air Force before being discharged in 2014 for bad conduct after he was convicted of assaulting a former wife and stepson, cracking the child's skull. Holy cow.
Why wasn't he in prison?
The Air Force has publicly acknowledged that the felony conviction for domestic violence, had it been put into the FBI database, could have prevented Kelly from buying guns from licensed firearms dealers and also from possessing body armor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good
Rodriguez
question.
Had
Because
the
this
government
was
done its job?
in 2014, so 3 years. Maybe
So
we
you
could-
can commit felony domestic violence and 3 years later not be in prison? Kind of sounds like the justice system failed the people of America.
Rodriguez said that had the government done its job and entered Kelly's history into the database, it is far more likely than not that Kelly would have been deterred from carrying out the church shooting.
Yep.
An Air Force spokeswoman did not immediately return a request seeking comment. I'm sorry, an Air Force spokesperson.
Did it say
Authority-
spokeschick or
It says spokeswoman.
spokeschick? Okay.
Authorities said Kelly fired at least 450 rounds at helpless worshipers who tried taking cover in the pews. As he left a small wood-framed church, Kelly was confronted by an armed resident who had grabbed his own rifle and exchanged fire with him. Kelly fled as 2 Sutherland Springs residents gave chase and died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after losing control of his vehicle and crashing. So he's a coward.
Yeah. Last month, the Texas Supreme Court ruled that survivors and relatives cannot sue the sporting good chain where Kelly purchased the AR-556 semi-automatic rifle. Academy Sports and Outdoors appealed the lower case after 2 lower courts declined to dismiss the lawsuits. So, all right. Why did I bring this up? Well, I'm going to bring this up for 2 reasons. Number one, the government cannot and has no desire to keep you safe. Oh, no, the government wants to keep me safe. No, it doesn't. The government wants to control you. That is the end of the story. I wrote a little book called Examining the Armed Citizen, and in that book, I spent an entire chapter talking about how the state uses terrorism and criminal behavior not to keep you safe, but to disarm you and to control you, and as an excuse to take more power and more money. If you have not figured this out by now, you need to figure it out. This incident is one of the reasons that we developed and came up with the Legion of Michael program. The Legion of Michael church security program that we developed a few years ago. It's available right now. You go to legionofmichael.com. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but the point is this ridiculous nonsense. Well, everyone here has a phone, so if somebody comes in the church and starts doing bad things, we'll call 911. Really? And the police will be here in 5 minutes. And how much damage can a lunatic do in 5 minutes? The answer is a lot. It is up to you. No matter what the state says, they cannot keep you safe. And the truth of the matter is the Supreme Court has actually, and several state Supreme Courts, including the United States Supreme Courts, all of them have said what, Jared? About the duty.
The state, essentially, the government has no duty to protect an individual citizen, but
That's right.
only society as a whole.
In general. And so on one hand, you have the state, you have Sniffy Joe and all his criminal consorts up there in D.C. who are like, it's our job to make sure that you're safe. So we're going to ban this and ban that and take this right and give ourselves authority that the Constitution doesn't, because we have to keep you safe. And no one in the grand fourth estate, the media watchdogs who are supposed to keep an eye on the government, none of those people ever raise their hand and say, pardon me, excuse me, you said that people don't need these guns because it's the job of the police, ergo the state, to protect them. That's right. Derp-a-derp, Diana DeGette. You don't need guns. That's why we have 911. Not one person in that audience raised their hand and said, so you're telling me the Supreme Court was wrong when they ruled that the state is held harmless for individual deaths? What? What are you talking about? Yeah. The Supreme Court and numerous state Supreme Courts have ruled that the state actually has no constitutional duty to protect individual citizens. So how does that fly with your, you don't need a gun, just call 911? Yeah, but the Supreme Court actually says, I do need a gun because the police don't have the constitutional requirement to keep me safe. They could be parked in my driveway and I could be inside of my house being murdered. And they just like Pontius Pilate, wash your hands. And they're like, not my fault. In New York City, 2 armed police officers were on the other side of a glass door while a dude was being stabbed. And he sued and said, they stood there on the other side of the glass door while I was being stabbed, and they didn't stop it from happening. And the court said, too bad. Shouldn't have been there. They didn't have the responsibility to stop that from happening. Do what? Okay, you know the Supreme Court case where this came out happened while 2 women were being raped. Like they were kidnapped in their own home and like raped for a day. One of them had called the police, and the police came, looked at the house, walked around, said, everything's cool here, and left. And the women were brutalized and raped, and they sued. And it got to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said the police in Washington, D.C., this is a District of Columbia case, even though they were called. See, that's the crazy thing, Jared, and Zach, and the whole audience. You need to know, well, I mean, yeah, if you get robbed or whatever, or stabbed or raped, and the police, you never called 911, well, there's nothing the police can do, so it's not their fault. Yeah, but what if you actually called for help? The police came, got out of their car, looked around, and said, tell them to count their kids again, and left. That's a little Home Alone reference for you guys there. Remember that? Chicago PD, Chicago's finest. Yeah, there's nothing going on here. Tell them to count their kids again. So the police you can call them and say, help, help. They can come, get out of their cars, walk around, say, everything's fine to us, and leave. And they have no constitutional duty to protect you. So knowing all of this, what is the latest scam by Big Brother, by Criminal Joe, Sniffy Joe and his criminal cohorts in D.C.? Well, we got a story here from
Yeah, happened to me too.
All right. Well, we don't actually even need that story, but we talked about how Sniffy Joe went out to say that he's, in order to combat domestic violence and domestic terrorism, they're going to come up with a plan to create a list, a Biden, an enemies of the state list. And we're going to put your name on it because you're a red hat wearing Trump supporter. And we were monitoring your Instagram, and we think you might have been in D.C. on or around the 6th of January. So on one hand, they're going to, and people said, oh, come on, Paul, come on. Come on. So Sniffy Joe went out and he announced the Enemies of the State program on the 25th of June. You say, all right, what's that have to do with anything? On the 1st of July is when Zuckerberg and Facebook launched their Are Your Friends Extremist? Turn in Your Neighbor program. Well, so what? It's just a coincidence. This is me looking at you. Really? Jared, do you remember when we came to this microphone several months ago? It might have even been sometime last year. And I said, and they said, you said, wasn't what we were talking about, how big tech, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, et al., how they're privately owned companies. Ergo, they have the right to silence and censor anyone that they want. And we said, well, you see, here's the deal. The state, the Democrat state, the ruling class state, doesn't have to come up with state programs to censor and silence you when they have someone else to do it for them. When big tech pulls down, censors, and silences the accounts of one political organization, one political party, one candidate, but doesn't the others, that's censorship. But the government doesn't have to do it. They've got plausible deniability. So the ruling class in DC are like, hey, we're all for free speech. We're 100% down with free speech, First Amendment rights. You say, yeah, but your bros in California just pulled Donald Trump's Twitter account, just pulled his Facebook account. The Friends of Trump thing got pulled. You know, what's up with that? Well, no, we can do about it. I mean, we're over here. We're First Amendment free speech cheerleaders, man. And if they just decide to do it, well, they just decided. And a lot of you said, well, I don't know if there's collusion between the Democrat Party and big tech. So the Democrat Party, the ruling class criminals in D.C., on the 25th of June come out and say, hey, we think a big step in curbing domestic violence is for you to turn in your neighbors who, you know, they say stuff. They're like Trump supporters. They have those yellow flags in their garages or in their yards or stuff. You need to let someone know who they are and where they live. And people said, what? The central government doesn't have that authority. So, tick-tock, tick-tock. 6 days later, 5 days later, here comes little Marky Zuckerberg. What did Roger Waters call him? We can't say it because this isn't.
You can't say it on here.
But look it up. If you don't know what Roger Waters thinks of Mark Zuckerberg, just search it out or go listen to the grad program. We'll tell you. So coincidentally, completely and totally coincidentally, after Sniffy Joe and his criminals decide that we need to come up with a program to turn people in who you think could have extremist views. And what are those extremist views? They're talking heads. Well, you know, anything that we don't like. Okay. Do you not yet understand how this works? The Democrat Party doesn't have to come up with official policies and actions to silence you, to create an enemies list, when they have people to do it for them. That is exactly what is going on in the United States of America today. Now, they made a list. Now, we've been told, ladies and gentlemen, told that you should be for mandatory background checks. and that private sales of firearms should be illegal. Or private sales of firearms shouldn't be illegal, but they shouldn't be private sales. What do you mean? Well, before you execute your private sale of a firearm, you need to get the government's approval first. Because we need to find out if that person is on a list. Well, this guy in Texas was supposed to be on a list. This guy in Texas was a convicted felon. The murderer in Texas should have been in a prison cell instead of walking around buying guns and murdering people in a church. I want to know how the U.S. government, the Air Force, and they're part of the government, can look at me and say, yeah, we convicted this guy of a felony, but he didn't go to jail. What? So you're out there keeping me safe, right? So it's the state's keeping me safe by creating its lists and so forth. No, they aren't, and no, they don't. The same state that thinks you need to go on a list so they can keep an eye on you, when they absolutely know about the existence of dangerous felons, what do they do about it? What do they do about it? That little crap bag in Florida who was reported to the FBI? Don't got time for that. This guy in Texas, convicted felon. They knew he was dangerous. They knew he was a bad person. What'd they do about it? Nothing. The very last, we're not going to call them Muslim terrorist attacks anymore because that would hurt the terrorist feelings. And so we can't do that. But the last Muslim terrorist attack in the United States, well, he was on the FBI's watch list. So what the F good are these watch lists where they know about these felons if they do nothing about it? You see, that's the thing, is they don't care about them. They care about you because you think Donald Trump should still be the president. They care about you because you think the Second Amendment means what it says. They care about you because you think the government should be restricted by the Constitution. They don't care about church shooters, mall shooters, school shooters, because those people all work in their favor. They might as well be their best friends. Because, as they've said, and as they behave, you never let a crisis go to waste. And when a crisis is a school shooter that we could have stopped if we weren't too busy trying to tank Donald Trump's candidacy, FBI, talking to you. The government not only cannot keep you safe, has no interest in keeping you safe. The government wants to control you. That's it. And whatever they have to do in order to gain that control over you, whatever they have to do to get more money and power for themselves, that's what they're going to do. And that's why the Constitution exists, is to stop that. You can either be for the government of the United States, or you can be for the Constitution of the United States. The great thing is, as you listen to my words drip ever so gently into your ear holes, you still have a choice. You can support and defend the Constitution of the United States, or you can become a minion of the state and support them. Go for it. Go for it. All right, questions, comments, and concerns. Do we have any more?
I'm looking. I don't think so.
We do not.
All right.
Wait.
No.
Okay,
Nope,
we don't.
that's
Never
cool.
mind. That was a rhetorical question.
All right. If we do not have any more comments, questions, or concerns, I'm going to let you guys go. Yes, I am. So we talked about good boots. We talked about government lists. We talk about the government cannot keep you safe. It is your responsibility to protect yourself and your family. Take that responsibility seriously or don't. It's up to you. It's up to you. We'll be back tomorrow for a grad program bonus hour, number 1. Actually, I just saw while we were doing the show, I got a message bing, that said another person has signed up for the grad program. So good on you. Good on you. We've got more fun and frivolity for you on Thursday and Friday. If you'd like to join, go to Get, that's G-E-T, SOTG.com, Get SOTG.com, and sign up. Jared, I see you're looking at messages. Is there anything you want to say before we pop smoke?
No, I was hoping that message that just came in was an answer to my question about the AK Hug Your AK Day, but it wasn't yet. So
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have that answer on Thursday or Friday. There you go. All right. Until then, kids, remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.